The story begins like a quiet snowfall, light, serene, but with something unsettling just beneath the surface. Maura Murray was not the kind of girl you'd expect to vanish without a trace. A 21-year-old nursing student at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, she was bright, athletic, and deeply loved by her family. She came from Hanson, Massachusetts, a tight-knit New England town where nothing truly sinister ever happened. On the surface, Maura's life was enviable. She was on the university's track team, had a steady boyfriend, and was studying a noble profession. But underneath this polished exterior, Maura was carrying something few people could see. On the night of February 5th, 2004, Maura had a disturbing phone conversation with her sister. After hanging up, she broke down in tears at work, to the point where her supervisor had to walk her back to her dorm. What was said in that phone call? No one knows. Her sister would later claim she couldn't remember. The next morning, Maura emailed her professors saying there had been a family emergency and she would be out for a week. There was no emergency. Instead, she packed her car with clothes, textbooks, and her birth control. She withdrew nearly all the money from her bank account and bought liquor. She then set out north, toward New Hampshire, destination unknown. It was as if Maura was erasing herself, preparing to disappear. That evening, her car would be found crashed on a remote road near the White Mountains. But Maura was gone. No footprints in the snow. No signs of a struggle. Just nothing. It was the last time anyone would see her, and that was only the beginning. The day was February 9th, 2004. Maura Murray's journey north led her along Route 112 in Woodsville, New Hampshire. A narrow, twisting road hugged by dense forest, snowdrifts lining the shoulders like ghostly sentinels. At around 7:27 p.m., a local woman heard a loud thump outside her house. She glanced out the window and saw a car, Maura's black Saturn sedan, nosed into a snowbank, its rear end jutting into the road, a rag stuffed into the tailpipe. The windshield cracked, no one in sight. Within minutes, another local resident, a school bus driver named Butch Atwood, pulled up beside the scene. He saw a young woman walking briskly around the car. She seemed dazed but unhurt. He offered to call for help. She declined, saying she had already called AAA. She hadn't. Cell service in the area was spotty at best, and no one ever received a call from Maura that night. Butch drove home and phoned the police anyway. When authorities arrived just after 7:45 p.m., Maura was gone, vanished. No footprints leading away from the car, no drag marks, no signs of a struggle. The snow was fresh, and yet it told no story. Her belongings, credit cards, cash, and even the alcohol she'd purchased earlier were still in the vehicle. The driver's side door was locked. The car was mildly damaged, but drivable. And that rag in the tailpipe? No one could explain it. Some speculated she was trying to prevent exhaust leaks. Others feared something darker, a ploy to harm herself. Or perhaps someone else had placed it there. What happened in that 15-minute window? She was seen, then she wasn't. That stretch of road now sits in eerie silence, holding on to secrets it refuses to share. As night fell over the small town of Woodsville, the search for Maura Murray intensified. Police officers, volunteers, and local residents combed through the snowy forests and roads surrounding the crash site, their flashlights piercing the thick darkness and biting cold. But despite hours of searching, no trace of Maura was found. No footprints, no dropped belongings, no signs of struggle, only the eerie silence of the winter woods. Speculation ran wild. Had Maura simply walked off into the forest, disoriented or in shock? Or had something more sinister taken place in those vanished minutes? The unusual details surrounding the car, the rag in the tailpipe, the cracked windshield, the locked door, added layers of confusion. Investigators discovered that Maura had left behind her cell phone and personal items, yet her credit cards and cash were untouched. Witnesses later recalled seeing a mysterious figure near the area around that time, but no one could confirm any interaction. A chilling question hung in the air. Was she running from something or someone? The local community was gripped by fear and disbelief. Maura, a young nursing student with a bright future, had vanished into thin air. Over the following days, the search expanded beyond the snowy woods into nearby towns and highways. Theories ranged from voluntary disappearance, accident to foul play. Yet the mystery only deepened. Despite extensive efforts, Maura Murray's fate remained unknown. The stretch of road where her car was found seemed to swallow secrets, its icy silence keeping its dark story locked tight. As the days passed with no sign of Maura, fear turned into desperation, especially for her family. Fred Murray, Maura's father, arrived in New Hampshire the very next day. His eyes carried the weight of panic, grief, and determination. He retraced the path along Route 112, calling her name into the cold forest. But the woods gave nothing back. Fred didn't accept the notion that Maura had simply walked away. He believed something terrible had happened, and he made it his mission to find out what. With the local police's early response, seen by some as sluggish and uncoordinated, Fred clashed with authorities almost immediately. He felt they weren't taking Maura's disappearance seriously. He organized his own search efforts, brought in volunteers, and canvassed the area with flyers and posters. Every door was knocked, every possible lead chased down, and yet nothing. The case soon caught the attention of local and regional news. Maura's disappearance, at first just a story whispered through New Hampshire's backroads, now echoed on television screens across the Northeast. News anchors emphasized her bright future, a young nursing student with no history of violence or criminal ties, simply gone without a trace. Theories began to bloom online as well. Early internet forums and amateur sleuth communities became consumed by her case. Some theorized she staged her disappearance. Others believed she was abducted by someone who knew the area. A few believed she may have succumbed to the elements after wandering into the woods, disoriented and hurt. Fred Murray wasn't interested in theories. He wanted facts. He walked those cold hills day after day, believing Maura might still be alive somewhere, or that the earth might one day give up a clue. His resolve was fierce, and his grief was raw, but each passing day chipped away at hope. The ground froze harder. The forest grew quieter, and Maura's trail, what little of it there was, faded even further into the silence. Even as winter gave way to spring, Maura Murray's case refused to fade. Instead, it morphed, becoming not just a search for a missing woman, but a haunting mystery that gripped the nation. Fred Murray refused to let Maura's memory disappear. He held press conferences, gave interviews, and returned to Route 112 countless times. He begged for attention, not fame. He begged for help, not headlines. But the deeper he looked, the more opaque the truth became. State police and local law enforcement pursued their own investigation, but trust between them and the Murray family remained thin. Frustrated by what he saw as silence and stonewalling, Fred publicly accused investigators of withholding information. Whether justified or not, the rift only grew wider. Years passed, and new faces joined the search, not on foot, but behind screens. The rise of online true crime communities brought fresh eyes and theories. YouTube videos, podcasts, Reddit threads, all dissecting every movement, every timeline, every piece of evidence. But information was scarce, and what did exist was often twisted, speculated upon, or lost in digital noise. In 2006, just 2 years after Maura vanished, a home near the crash site drew suspicion. Cadaver dogs reportedly hit on something in the basement, but the property owner denied access. And when permission was finally granted years later, nothing was found. Whatever trace there may have been was gone. Still, the possibility of foul play lingered. Stories circulated: a police cover-up, a second crash site, a stranger offering her a ride. No theory could be confirmed, No lead ever led to her. And then, silence again. But Fred never stopped. Not on the 10th anniversary. Not on the 15th. He aged, but his drive remained sharp, unwavering. He once said, "I'll find her, even if it's just to bring her home." Maura Murray didn't just vanish from a snowy New Hampshire road. She was pulled into a story no one has been able to finish. A story of a bright young woman swallowed by silence. The case is still open. Her DNA is still on file. Fred Murray's voice, though older now, still asks the same question. Where is Maura? For all the speculation, all the theories, all the hours poured into forums, podcasts, and documentaries, there remains one truth. Maura is gone, and someone out there knows why. Until that day comes, the woods stay quiet, the snow still falls, and Route 112 waits, holding its secrets like a grave. If this story gripped you, if Maura Murray's disappearance left a chill running down your spine, then don't let the trail go cold. Subscribe to Twilight Vaulted Tales, where shadows are remembered, mysteries are honored, and the truth is always just out of reach. Because in the dark corners of forgotten roads, the silence still speaks. Like, comment, and share this video to help us keep these voices alive, one haunting tale at a time.